This episode is brought to you by Marqeta. When it comes to your payments provider, you can't afford to compromise. Marqeta's modern payment solutions flex with your business without the trade-offs. Stable and agile, secure and innovative, scalable and configurable. If they say you can't have it all, don't believe them. Your business demands more. Choose a payments provider that delivers more. Choose Marqeta. Visit marqeta.com/Spotify to learn more.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Find the biggest voices in sport on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like me, Ben Johnson, from the Perpetual Chess Podcast. We talk about the professional chess world and how to improve your game. Search for Perpetual Chess wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome to No Breaks, No Fear, the final episode of 2025, and we have the final bit of silverware in the Cab Direct Championship to talk about as well. And it was a dramatic victory in the BSN Series final for the Redcar Bears over the Poole Pirates. Redcar securing their first major team silverware for 6 years. The Bears drawing 45 all with the Pirates on Friday. A 2-point aggregate victory. Those 2 points gained in the first leg of the tie with the Poole Pirates up at the Echo Arena. And in the process, it shattered the Poole Pirates' hopes of claiming a double treble as well. The visitors were behind overall with 5 races remaining, but reserve Jody Scott was the hero. He partnered skipper Charles Wright to a 5-1 in Heat 11 and then added a 4-2 with Jason Edwards in the next. Home number 1 Richard Lawson was disqualified from Heat 13 for an incident which saw both Bears riders come to grief. But Charles Wright and Danny King picked themselves up, dusted themselves down and scored a big 5-1 in the rerun. And that left Redcar needing just a second place from Heat 14. But the pressure was still on Jody Scott after his teammate Jake Mulford crashed out with a broken chain, and he delivered the result they required in the rerun, splitting Zach Cook and Paul Stark to seal the trophy. Well, we are joined by team manager Gavin Parr and promoter at Redcar Bears, Jamie Swales, in this episode to talk about that and talk about the Redcar Bears season and seasons, I guess you'd say, of recent times as well, because they've come close. But injuries and mishaps or whatever have kind of come along to strike at the wrong time for the Redcar Bears. But getting that first bit of major team silverware since they won the Knockout Cup in 2019. Jamie, just starting with you, coming away from that first leg with a 2-point lead. You beat the Poole Pirates. Not many people have done that, and a lead is a lead, and those 2 points proved to be the difference. But that said, I don't think many people outside of the Redcar orbit really thought that it would be possible, that Poole would be too strong, having won the league, having won the Knockout Cup. That said, Midlow and Gary Havelock have both said, there will be a come down from these highs at this moment. But did you sense that there was an opportunity there, that maybe Poole might be a little bit over-complacent coming into this?
The season on the whole has been a good season, and the normal Redcar look when we got to the playoff stage in September. Geordie was outstanding at Oxford, getting us to the cup final, and he took a concussion, and that pretty much ended our playoff hopes, which is the story of Redcar over the last few seasons. And I'm not going to say it frustrated me, but obviously without Geordie, we didn't look like a strong team when we come up against Poole, and everyone used that as a yardstick when it come for the BSN final. And I had a totally different view on it. Although the scores looked quite big in the earlier matches against Poole, I was always confident once we had Geordie back in the team. We were right in that. And our 6 riders over the second half of this season has been a match for anyone. If only we'd had 7 all season, things might have been very, very different. But, I mean, the lads will tell you, I put in the group chat before the match, I had full faith in them, and even more so, the amount of people that there wasn't even an inkling on the internet that anyone had any hope of us keeping it tight. It was warming up for the triple celebrations for Poole. And that just fired us up even more, really. And I think you could see that fire in the lads' bellies on the night as well.
Jody Scott, of course, was a key reason that you've got this trophy, and teaming up with Charles Wright for that 5-1 in Heat 11, and then also bringing it home in Heat 14 as well when the pressure was on. And I think it just showed what you were missing, backing up what you just said, really, that I think I saw him back in action after the under-19 final where he finished second, which was ironically the day after he would have been riding for Redcar in the Knockout Cup final, but he was not allowed to ride in that. He was allowed to ride 24 hours later, finish second in the under-19 final. And I'm thinking that's the kind of performance that Redcar have probably been missing, and him as well. But you've also managed to achieve this without Eric Riss as well, who's been on the sidelines for quite a lot of the season, and filling his role has not been easy to do either. Yeah,
you can look down our results over the season. The times we had guests in that performed how you'd expect Eric to perform, we won. We won a lot of away matches this year. It was when the likes of Leon was in for us at Oxford, and we got an away win there, and I can't remember who it was at Plymouth, but we had quite a few away match wins this year, and it was when the guests performed how we'd expect Eric to. I can point to 3 fixtures over this season where we had a guest that only scored 4 or 5, or a rider replacement that only got 4 or 5. And them 3 matches, if we'd had Eric doing his job, we would have finished top of the table this year. It was that tight, really, over the season. And no one will convince me otherwise that our full 1-7 going into the playoffs and the cup final couldn't have won everything this year. But that's taken nothing away from Poole. They just had to beat what was in front of them. They've ended up being the best team of the season, and I'm not down on it. It's just it's another year of building for Redcar. It's a step forward. We had a bit of a step back last year, again with injuries, and it was a tough year in 24, but 25 has definitely been a step forward. And I'll just look on this now as we need to build on that again for next year.
Speedway being what it is never a guarantee of winning anything, of course. Best laid plans can come apart, as you well know, at short notice. But do you feel now that you're starting to establish yourself as a contender, as a team, along with the likes of Poole and Glasgow, to be in there with the shake-up when it comes to the final parts of the season?
Yeah, that's it. We're competing on different levels to them guys, really. But I don't like to moan about that. That's just a target for us. I take a lot more pleasure in taking it to them. So if we can build it and be competing against these guys in finals next year again, I think Redcar's doing a great job there. We've got a small fan base as it stands, but it's growing every year. Hopefully this success can keep building that, and we can compete every year going forward.
Gavin Parr, to you, team manager of the BSN Series winning Redcar Bears. First of all, congratulations. Talk us through the tie then. Well, talk us through that moment where you won, because, of course, as we mentioned at the start, 5 heats to go. It wasn't looking good, and then a sensational comeback. And, perfect script, dramatic evening of Speedway, but a tie overall that in both legs had certainly had its moments.
Yeah, let's go back, as I say, to the first leg. It was imperative that we won at home. We'd been beat quite comfortably, to be fair, off them, in the last sort of 3 weeks beforehand or whatever it was. So I just think it changed the mindset. A victory was a victory. I don't think the amount of points we've shown at Poole that we can get close to them before. We were 2 points up going into Heat 14 2 years ago or whatever it was. We're good at Poole. We are a decent side at Poole, and as Jamie said, with Jody in the team, you've got a chance everywhere. If you get a team manager who can use them right and put them in the right places here and there, but it was just imperative to get that win at home. And yeah, we would have loved to have had more than 2 points to take down there, but I just think it changed everybody's mind. Well, everybody at Redcar's mindset. And I think we went there with like zero pressure because everybody just expected Poole to be collecting the treble. And I think everybody in Speedway, apart from Poole fans, wanted to win, but I think everybody in Speedway realised that it probably wasn't going to happen. So I don't think there was any pressure, right from track walk. The guys were focused on the job ahead of them, and they weren't having any of this like bull about we haven't got a chance. And I think the good thing with it being the last match was, in a way, not having a guest. I know I wouldn't have been saying that if RR only scored 2 points or whatever, but you had 6 Bears, who fought for the cause all season. And those 6 came to the tapes, and by God, did they give away a shift to put on 100%. And as you say, towards the end, I think the rain helped us a little bit. I think you sort of saw when the rain came down that a couple of their lads got quite tentative, sticking to inside, where you had Jody sort of bouncing off every single airbag on the track at times, and I could use him. I just, you know what I mean? I literally needed him out there just about every single race, which it came to at the end. And yeah, the rest is history, as they will say.
Yeah, and history will say Redcar Bears were the BSN Series winners in 2025. Looking at that fixture, though, at Wimborne Road, obviously you've got a 2-point lead to defend, but the opening 4 heats didn't really go Redcar's way, conceding a 5-1 and a 4-2. And at this point, are you thinking, well, is it our night? Is it going to work out for us tonight?
Yeah, they'd pulled out, a 6-point lead or so early doors, hadn't they? But then you looked, and you looked at the RR, we had Danny in 8, we had Jason to come in 5, and, I don't know. We just looked strong in certain heats, and I look at Poole. I look at Poole at our place, and when they're 3 and 4 are on track, it's like, oh my God, here we go again. Actually, at Poole, I feel we're stronger against their 3 and 4 at Poole than we are at Redcar. We always seem to do better, against them at Poole, and so then I guess there was bits of luck for both sides. Poor Jody putting himself in the fence in 8, but then Tobias is crashing 10. I think if that 5-1 had gone, that maybe our heads might have gone down that little bit, but all of a sudden that 5-1 became a 3s each. And then, as I say, the rain came, and all of a sudden, we really came to the party, and they just didn't know how to cope with it, to be fair. They just couldn't get off the starts. All of a sudden there was grip because of the rain, etc. There was grip out there, which we used to our advantage, and all of a sudden we became a bit of a steam train, didn't we? And we sort of, ploughed on through to the end.
Yeah, it changed around there. Was it 11, 12, 13, where you got those, 2 5-1s and a 4-2 in that block, and then it was all down to heat 14, and then you're looking at that, and then the chain goes on Jake Mulford's bike, and obviously another heart in the mouth moment potentially there.
Yeah, it was all settled, wasn't it? Jake was comfortably in second. Sort of Jody was dicing around with Starkey at the back, but he'd gone through into third. But to be fair, that didn't matter because Jake was a million miles away in second. So it was all over. And then all of a sudden, I've never seen a primary chain explode into so many pieces. Like literally, it was in about 30. The little rollers were lying all over the track. What on earth had happened? Don't know if it was the main chain had tightened, the counter or whatever, but his primary chain had literally exploded. So the referee decides it needs rerun, which I guess he was probably correct. I never even thought about the decision at the time. We just then had to focus Jody because we know how pumped up he was and how excited he was, but it was then you just need to split them. Just split them. That's all you need to do. And then even then, I think we had my heart in my mouth a couple of times, but he realised and he settled down a little bit towards the end of the race. And I think you've seen the footage of him going over the line. You knew what it meant. But we had a bit of, I'll admit this, and it's a bit of a joke now. I had a bit of brain fog. I'd seen that we were 4 points up on my programme, and it was like, hang on a minute, I'm forgetting about the 2 points from the first one, just in all the melee. Then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, yeah, but we've actually won, You don't expect to win a Poole, I suppose. So, yeah, it was a little bit of a delayed reaction. But then after that, oh my God, yeah, I think I'm still on the scene. Take a little bit to come down yet.
It's always a bit of a funny one, isn't it, when it comes to the winning moment? Because I think as fans who are looking at it with some sort of clarity, I know this is the moment, but I think you're always double checking, aren't you? You don't want to sort of celebrate too early or think, well, actually there is a way that they can come back into it. But it was all sealed with one heat to go, and then celebrations can begin, and there you were out, punching the air, celebrating, and yeah, just tell us about that moment.
Yeah, honestly, the club and the job, it means so much to us. You know what I mean? I absolutely love it, and I really felt for some of the fans who were all booked in to come down Wednesday, but obviously with it being rearranged to Friday, they couldn't get time off. We've got some real die-hard travellers who travel everywhere, and a few of those couldn't make it. So it was really special. Like Jamie had to work on Friday. He wasn't there. And I was a little bit like on my own. I didn't have enough people to cuddle. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't enough of me Bears family with me to sort of celebrate. But I managed quite well. And as I say, I think everybody at home must have been screaming at their TVs and stuff at the time.
You cuddled Midlow after as well, I think.
Do you know what it is? I'd just like to put on record, Midlow has been an absolute star with me. He has, and he even said to us, he said on record, he went, Gav, I wanted the treble. He says, there's no doubt about it, I wanted the treble. He says, but if it could have gone to any manager, he says, I'm so pleased it went to you. And Midlow to me is like an idol of, I strive to be anywhere close to what he's done in his career. So to have him saying those words to us was pretty good. It put a little lump in the back of my throat, I have to admit.
And that's nice to hear from Midlow, isn't it? He's been around, as you say, he's been around and seen a bit of speedway and knows what it takes. So that's a great endorsement as well. Obviously, your season started with a win over the Poole Pirates with the Pairs trophy at the start of the season, and has ended with a win over the Poole Pirates with the BSN Series. But this is team silverware this time. You've won the Pairs a couple of times, of course, in your time, but getting some full team silverware, does that really get a bit of sort of a monkey off the back, if you like, that it's been something you've been very close to achieving, but now you have, and maybe that might pave the way for more?
Yeah, the full team, the Pairs are still brilliant. I can remember when I'd just taken over from Jade. He was on leave away to New Zealand, and me and Jamie were there that night, and we won the Pairs. I'd only been manager for about a month or something at the most. We've won the Pairs 3 out of 4 years or something like that. But this is special, because this involves them all. Do you know what I mean? This involves all 6 of them, as it was for us on the night. So yeah, it's a little bit more special than the Pairs, if you can say that. But they're equally, at the end of the day, that the trophies for Redcar Speedway, which is the main thing. And as we've said before, we compete against your Glasgows and your Pools, and we're not on the same budgets as those guys have got, etc. I keep saying we're a bit like a Bournemouth football club, up there near the top of the Premier League against your Manchester Cities and your Liverpools. But we've got something special at Redcar. We've got such a family sort of committed sort of atmosphere there, and I think that's really what makes riders want to come and ride for.
I saw that you took good care of the trophy, though. It slept well and was well fastened up in the car with the seatbelt on. But I think that's fairly wise, because people won't realise this, but that BSN Series trophy is heavy. It's one of the most solid bits of, I would say silverware. It's woodware, really, isn't it? It
is, yeah. Oh, she was smelling. She was a bit smelly. She was smelling the champagne on the night time. I tell you, it was like the champagne was all over me pillow. But no, on a serious note, yeah. We took it to the track for the last Development League match there against Bellevue, and everybody got their photographs taken with it. And obviously we'll have it at the end of the season due on Saturday, where we hope that it's packed to the rafters for people to celebrate what is, I say, probably been Middlesbrough / Redcar's best season ever, to be fair.
Jamie, back to you. People listening to this won't know, but you are actually speaking to us from your holiday destination. You're sunning yourself at this moment in time and taking a bit of a break. But really, Speedway doesn't stop, does it? You know, the end of the season now for the Redcar Bears, but already starting to look ahead to 2026 and not least defending this trophy.
Yeah, every season it's... if you're not aiming to win everything at the start of the year, then what we're doing it for? So, in many ways, we fail every year, don't we? But yeah, the planning started quite a long time ago. I think part of being a smaller club is you've got to plan a long way in advance, and everyone can see by the teams we put out every year. We do it by development, and we don't go out and buy riders who we think can up their average massively over a season. Obviously, we'll try and exploit that if the opportunity comes up. But our biggest thing is get the riders who we can develop and who we can work with, who fit in with how the club works. And as Gav said, that's why they like coming to us. So the plan is to carry on with that type of ethos, and hopefully it can bring more trophies.
Is there a bit of a tinge of frustration as a promoter that you've gone out there in your last meeting, you've won some silverware, but this will be the last time that we see this Redcar Bears team together for the foreseeable future, because there will be changes going into 2026, and that affects every team. There will be probably changes across the board. There always is. But, you know, that team will not be defending that title next year. That same team won't be going for the league next year. There will have to be changes, but that obviously is a bit of a necessary evil too. Yeah,
it is a huge problem. I think it's something that can be addressed in the future. We just need to get a bit more stability in the sport so that the clubs are more stable. The points limit, it's important. It's important for a club like Redcar so that we can compete with the bigger clubs. So sometimes we do have to take a bit of pain in letting some riders go who we absolutely love, and unfortunately that will happen this year. And as painful as it is, if we didn't do that, the bigger clubs would just swallow us up anyway. So yeah, short-term pain for long-term stability, really.
And that is an insight into what we were talking about there. Gav mentioned it before, that you're not on the same financial levels probably as Poole or certainly Glasgow, but you want them to be competitive as well. And as you point out there, that's one of the reasons the points limit is important, to make it a bit more of a level playing field, at least at the start of the season as you go on. Yeah,
absolutely. It's not perfect. Obviously, the same teams end up near the top every year as it is. But it keeps everyone within touching distance. And, you know, if things go in the right way, then people have a chance. You see it in so many other sports where it is just the same teams dominate year in, year out because they have the financial clout to do that. People have no chance whatsoever at the bottom end. We're lucky in Speedway that we're not like that. There is a way of trying to keep everyone competitive, and, you know, one or two key signings in the off season all of a sudden can turn the team around. It's not a perfect system, but it's a very good system.
And you came close, I think, didn't you, with looking at trying to get a replacement for Eric? It didn't work out, but in the end you had to go with what you went with, and that was getting guests in, which ultimately, in the end, you know, it did get you over the line in this one. But as you say, sometimes getting those riders in mid-season also isn't as easy as people would think too.
Yeah, there's been a lot of club inexperience this year, I would say. We haven't had to get a visa for anybody since Jordan Stewart, which I think the last time he had to get a visa was 2018. So I didn't become a promoter till 2020. When we started trying to find a replacement for Eric, when we did eventually find someone that was willing to commit, and we knew we then had to get him a visa, it was reopening all the files that you need as a club to sponsor that rider to come. That was what caused the issue. That's all in place now. Unfortunately, it took a week longer than we had for the cut-off date for the signing. It was a roll of the dice. We're not sure whether the guy who was going to come in would have made a difference or not. He come highly recommended by Charles and a couple of other people who ride out in Poland. We'll never know now, unfortunately. But that situation shouldn't ever happen again because we've got everything in place now. So visas should happen a lot quicker. Yeah, fingers crossed we don't ever have to get somebody mid-season like that again.
And without naming names, just to point out as well, though, that this was a rider who was new to British Speedway, I gather, because I know a lot of names have been thrown in of who Redcar was supposed to have been signing, and these were all sort of well-known names within British Speedway. This is somebody that would be totally off people's radar.
100%. I'll be honest, I hadn't heard the name until Charles brought him up. And I looked into his background a bit and I thought, yeah, he's definitely got the pedigree we need. It's the only time I've never seen anybody guess the right rider across the internet anywhere, which is testament, I think, to the secrecy we managed on that one. So, yeah, hopefully we might get him one day in the future. It's not off the cards, so I'm not telling anybody who it is just yet.
No. Keep the man of mystery, the rider with a question mark on his head. So that's 2025 done then. On to 2026 over the course of the winter. Gav, I know that you are heading off on your honeymoon, so you can go there with a trophy on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, I'm luckily off about 18 days or so. I'm off to Australia for 3 weeks honeymoon. Got married in April, and obviously being a Speedway wife, she had to wait until after the Speedway season to have a honeymoon. So yeah, we're off to Oz for 3 weeks to recuperate. Hopefully we'll have 2026 Bears all sorted out by then, and I can go and actually have sort of a couple of weeks at least complete break away from Speedway. Enjoy the sort of the sights and sounds of Australia. Never been before, and then come back and let's get started for 2026. You're
not going to watch the Speedway then? When you're there?
Well, in case Christine, I've already booked into the cricket. I've managed to get a day at the Test cricket without her. So if we just happen to be travelling up that coast and there's a Speedway meeting on somewhere, I'm sure we might just have to pull the camper van over or whatever, But just keep it quiet, and or I'll be divorced before we even go.
That's not what we want. Well, look, well done, guys. Always a pleasure, and it's been a great season, and onwards to 2026.
Cheers, Ian. Thanks.
Gavin Parr and Jamie Swales, the team manager and co-promoter of the Redcar Bears, winners of the BSN Series in 2025.
No brakes, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
So, just a roundup of what is still to come this week in British Speedway, and of course there's not a lot left right now. I can tell you though that the Ipswich Witches are having a civic reception. Ipswich Borough Council and Ipswich Central have invited the public to a celebratory event on the Town Hall steps. This is on Friday, Halloween. How else do you celebrate Halloween than perhaps with some witches? You can get them at 12:30 at the Town Hall in Ipswich, and this is on Friday lunchtime to recognise the achievements of the Ipswich Witches, being crowned the Road Motor All Premiership champions in 2025, of course. So get down there if you're in the area to join in the celebrations. And then really it's just looking ahead to the final few matters to be tied up in the National Development League or the Development Trophy. Leicester stage a double header at the Hydroscand Arena on Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock, with issues to be resolved in both of the development leagues. The Lion Cubs first host the Bellevue Colts in the National Development League, and that meeting is then followed by the Fox Cubs against Kent in the National Development Trophy. The situation in the league is that the Lion Cubs need a win on the night to secure second place in the overall standings. The Colts need a win by more than 6 points to move out of their current 6th place. In the NDT, a Leicester win by more than 6 points will see them rise from 5th to 2nd in the table, whilst any other results will see Kent retain the runners-up position. So just those few fixtures to go. That's both those fixtures happening on Wednesday night. And there's also the 4-team tournament to run as well. Also on Wednesday, this is happening at Oxford. Oxford making a third attempt at getting this on. Their season-ending 4-team tournament at Oxford Stadium. It'll include select sides representing the Cheetahs, Coventry, Swindon and Wolverhampton, also recognised as well, with the likes of Sam Masters, Chris Harris, Dan Thompson and Scott Nichols included in the lineup for that fixture. So that is happening at Oxford. 7:30 the start time there. And then that is the end of British Speedway for 2025, so far as we know. That should wrap things up. The only other thing to mention as we close things off for 2025 is what's happening with the AGM. The AGM is due to take place on November the 12th. So it may be a day or two after that, but November the 12th, around about then, you should be able to look out for more news shortly after that for what may or may not be happening in 2026. So that's when it'll all signed off around November the 12th. Finally, just from me, a big thank you for listening to No Breaks, No Fear, whether you've listened every single week or you've just listened once, in which case you made it a blinder. Thanks for listening to No Breaks, No Fear. Enjoy the winter. There will be other Speedway entertainment that you can take in through the course of the winter period, and I will point you in the direction of my other podcast, which kind of led to me being in this position, which is called Humans of Speedway, which is talking one-on-one to various people involved in the world of Speedway, predominantly, of course, lots of riders. It's already got quite a lot of episodes, but I am planning on adding some more through the course of the winter, so watch this space on that one for a bit more Speedway entertainment. If you've not checked that series out yet, then there's something for you to work your way through. There's quite a lot to go at, and some great episodes as well, including with some legends, including the likes of Hans Nielsen. I caught up with him not so long ago. I say not so long ago. I haven't done it for 2 years. And also another interesting one actually with Peter Adams. I would point you in the direction of the Peter Adams episode. But there's loads to go through. Check that out, Humans of Speedway, which is also available on all podcast apps, all the good ones and the bad ones. And we will catch you next time. Have a great winter and look forward to some more Speedway as soon as the bikes rev into action. Have a great winter and thanks for listening.
No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This is Hannah Berner from Giggly Squad. O-Pill is the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Let's be real, getting a birth control prescription is not always easy, and it's so much admin. In fact, about a third of women face barriers to access prescription birth control. Between scheduling appointments, missing work, class, or just trying to exist, it's a lot. But now O-Pill is putting birth control in our control. O-Pill is a daily birth control that's FDA approved, full prescription strength and estrogen free, and 98% effective when used as directed. Grab it online or at most major retailers, no prescription or doctor's appointment needed. So if you're thinking about birth control, check out O-Pill to see if it's right for you. Use code GIGGLY for 25% off your first month of O-Pill at OPILL.com. That's code GIGGLY at OPILL.com. Birth control in your control. We love to see it.